So, guys, welcome back to these videos of how can you be fast in the specific circuit that we are running this week. This week we have our race is being done in Brazil, in Interlagos, and I'll go through the basic details or the basic features of the track or things that you may want to know in order to be fast here. So let's go. I'll do it in slow-mo. Just a few notes regarding setup. I usually choose a setup where I can have, if not maximum downforce, I'm not using maximum downforce, but I'm pretty close to maximum downforce. Okay, so you have really one big straight where you can take advantage of lower wing settings, but I think that you'll need an extra help of more aerodynamic support in the inside part of the circuit. So two or three things regarding setup, close to maximum downforce. Pay attention to the fact that this race will be done in morning conditions. So typically, when you have lower track temperature, your tire pressure will rise more than it would if the track temperature was higher. So pay attention to that. By now you should already know what's the optimal temperature or tire pressure of the tire that you prefer. It's dependent on circuits, but nevertheless, it is important to have like a baseline. But pay attention to the fact that it's during the morning, so you'll have to lower your tire pressures in order to reach the same tire pressures as you would on a hot track. Okay, so this lap was done on default conditions, morning track with the 20% usage, and I had like this lap was done 29.7. Okay, so for the turn one, I usually use as reference the 50 meters mark. As you can see, I'll start braking just after that mark. And the most important thing about this turn is that you start braking. It's an hard braking turn, but you want to, as soon as you stop your braking moment, you want to be sure that you do not have any input on your pedals, and you leave your car without any input during the initial stage. I will stop here just for you to know. I'm like 1 second without doing anything to my pedals in order for the car to settle down after the braking zone, and in order to position my car well in terms of the second turn. Okay, so start braking at 50 meters mark, leave the car settle to I would say almost mid turn, and only after mid turn you start using your throttle. If you start earlier, you lose for sure your rear. Okay, so don't do that. As soon as you start accelerating, you pretty much with this car you can pretty much do it 100%. This turn is done on full throttle, so no big question here. You have to have a car that behaves well on curbs, so pay attention to that as well. On your damper settings and also on your anti-roll bar, if you have stiffer anti-roll bar, the car will be unsettled over bumps or over curves. Okay, so pay attention to that. For turn 3, It's also easy to create a reference because you need to start braking just before or pretty close to the 50 meters mark. You want to be sure that if you do a mistake in terms of your braking point, you want to do a mistake by braking earlier and not after the 50 meters mark, just because you want to start accelerating really early on this turn. Okay, so I start braking like you see here, like 75 meters. You can go a little bit further to start your braking section. Once again, you want to leave the car, do the initial part of the turn without input of throttle or brakes. As soon as you reach the mid section of the turn, or you start accelerating the or you start reaching the curb in the inside, you want to start your throttle, and you can go immediately to 100%. Pay attention to the outside curb, because if you accelerate too hard, you'll probably lose your rear by doing that. Okay, next turn, it's a very important one. I almost don't use my brakes. It's just a small input. I want to position the car on this part of the curb, as you will see here. I want to use the car over here, and I use just a small input of brakes. I reduce to fifth gear, and I let the car float to the curb. I reduce to fourth gear and position the car to the next one. As soon as I have enough grip to start accelerating, I start accelerating hard, 100% for the next one. The next one, you don't have really um, a reference to start braking. What I usually do, you see these marks over here in terms of I would say tires that were used more than they should. You can use this reference to start braking. So it's an hard braking zone. You are in fourth gear. You want to reduce to second. You can also use this tree at your left. It's a little bit after the tree, but it's too quick, I mean, for you to understand if you are already on the tree or not. So if you are able to use the tarmac, use it. Otherwise, just go by feel. I usually use these marks. Okay, you can pretty much use all the curb and even the outside of the curb in order to do this turn. So you will see that I use a lot, and it's not a 1x. Okay, you can go even further to your right without having an 1x. I have all my four wheels are over the curb. Once again, it's important for you to have a car that's well balanced and reacts well to curbs. I'm on a second gear. I start accelerating. This particular corner that we will see now, you have this. I think this part of the track is and of the video is important for you to notice one important fact regarding this turn. You have like a degree of banking at the outside of the curb of the corner. Sorry. So you can start accelerating really early on this turn. So as soon as you have your car positioned, you start accelerating really hard. You can move directly to third. It's okay for you to go over this curb. No real problem. And it's very important for you to, I mean, you can gain a few tenths of a second by start accelerating really soon on that particular turn. For this one, I use this tree. Okay, as soon as I'm reaching the tree, as you see, I'm start braking. You can use also the shadow, but pay attention if you don't have a weather condition that it's sunny. For instance, if it is overcast, you will not notice the shadow. So use this tree as a reference at your left. You start braking a little bit before. I don't use the left part of the circuit on this particular part of the track. I just use I start braking at the middle. If you are defending a position, you want to be a little bit further to the right. Use this position to start braking. Once again, you can use the inside curve that you see here. It's okay for you to block your inside tire and use the inside curve to help you rotate, okay? You start accelerating hard. I add a little bit oversteer on exit. That's okay. But once again, you can fine-tune that by adjusting your rear bump or front rebound in order to decrease decrease the speed on which you have your power being transferred to the rear tires. Okay, so pay attention to that. For this particular turn, what I'm using as a reference is this particular part of the outside of the track that you have here, grass. I use this as a reference to start braking. And as soon as I reach this part of the tarmac, I start pointing the car to the apex, start accelerating, and you can go pretty much from that moment till the end of the lap, full throttle. Okay, pay attention to this turn because you will experience oversteer for sure. So what I do, and I'll do another sequence of this turn, what I do is to have a small input of throttle that enables the rear tire to have some grip, not to lose my rear. So I have a small input of acceleration there. And once I reach the apex, I start accelerating hard. You'll see this as soon as I reach this tarmac here. Start moving my car to the left. As you can see, my wheel is turning. Now notice the throttle here. Small input, and then as soon as I reach the apex, 100%. Okay. So from this moment until the end of the lap, it's pretty much straightforward. Okay, you want to be as close as you can to the inside of the turn because you will win a few thousandths of a second for sure if you do it this way. If you go to the outside, it'll be slower. You'll run more meters, and you also lose speed. So don't do that. Pretty close to the inside in order to be fast. So guys, this was a lap at 29,700. So it is a quick lap on default conditions. I hope you enjoyed. See you later.